Heh. Nerd. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Azura, and today, by request of one of my personal friends, and myself partly, I've decided to make another vid in this character-focused series that is seemingly becoming a thing. Well, we'll be covering this time around then, if this is the case. As mentioned in my previous video, I've listed out some of my most played characters, and we're going to be covering one of them. And today, it shall be everyone's favorite Kovacs-loving, domain-expanding, walking aim trainer, ego pusher himself, ISO, the biggest nerd around. So, enough with the formalities, let's get into this, shall we?
It's you and me!
Chinese fixer for hire, ISO, goes into a flow state to dismantle the opposition, reconfiguring ambient energy into bulletproof protection. He advances with focus towards his next duel to the death. ISO is an agent that has quickly went from one of the most underutilized duelists to one that you see a lot of people use, and partly that is because of his rework that he got this year. From the usual duelist main, to the casual duelist main, the first timer, and the obsessed ISO mains that make their entire personality around him. You know who you are. And I can't say anything. I did the same thing with Clove when they came out. ISO has a surprisingly straightforward playstyle that involves more raw mechanical skill like Reyna. However, unlike Reyna, ISO does have abilities that can prove beneficial for the team if used at correct times and at correct points, allowing him to play around certain comps with amazing synergy. So, what are his abilities? Starting off, we have his basic abilities Undercut and Contingency. Contingency is pretty much a giant pushing wall. It moves at weapon equip speed and has a duration of 4.6 seconds when it's fully formed. Mainly used to push into sites with teams if you are going for fast entries. Contingency will block bullets, but not abilities, so do watch out for that. Undercut is ISO's vulnerability. With 2 charges and a duration of 4 seconds on the debuff, ISO equips a molecular bolt that can be fired through walls and inflict vulnerability to anyone it passes through. And yes, that does include teammates, so watch where you're aiming. The fear of being hit with a double damage button is enough for anyone to be weary, especially if the ISO is a good shot. Speaking of a good shot, we're going to move on to his signature ability, Double Tap. You ever played an aim training scenario? You know, like, have you ever loaded up like a Tile Frenzy on Kovacs or Aim Labs or something like that, where you just sit there and you collect squares or orbs? ISO's Double Tap is that on steroids. When you cast, you have to focus for a second. It has a second cast time. You gain a shield and a 25% reload speed boost. Anyone you kill or get a damaging assist on within 12 seconds spawns an orb. Shooting this orb refreshes the duration of your shield and rebuilds the shield if it has been destroyed by combat damage. Yes, ISO shield blocks bullets. It's great. It is an op's worst nightmare, as tanking a whole op shot is something that no one else can actually do in Valorant, and if an ISO is able to start snowballing with this ability, just good luck taking him down. It's scary. And finally, we have ISO's ultimate. We have Kill Contract. With an ult point cost of 7 and a duration of 13 seconds, ISO, he just does a domain expansion. Honestly, I've been through enough Jujutsu Kaisen brain rot to know this is just a domain expansion. He fires down a giant column of energy, and the first enemy that is hit is dragged into an arena constructed by ISO himself, and they both duel to the death. If they don't kill each other within 13 seconds, they both die. But let's be honest, no one is going to time out the 13 seconds unless you're trying to kill each other with a melee. Seriously though, have you ever wanted to feel like Satoru Gojo with this ability, but without any of the looks, personality, money, or power? Well, this ability is that fantasy personified. The ability to drag another player into an arena and purely rely on one's own skill to outplay someone. It really does bring the whole, I'm just better than you vibe to all of it. Speaking of being better than everyone, let's talk about his personality for a bit.
Hey Sage, 火锅 after this, right? I'll buy.
Going over personality and design? I spoil you lot. Also, quick addendum, I realize that the whole better than you vibe applies more to Chamber than it does to ISO, but I digress. ISO, while being relatively laid back, has an air of confidence that is shown more in his actions and skills than his words. Preferring to zone into absolute focus, he dismantles his enemies with surgical precision. Though, that doesn't mean ISO's personality is flat and one-dimensional. It makes sense on why he's cold and calculated. From a contract killer for the Scions of Hourglass, an international cabal of extremely shady socialites that have no personality whatsoever, to the relaxed, family-like vibe of Valorant. So of course, he would rather be by himself then it comes to working with people, kind of like one of those Ryan Gosling literally me types. You know the ones. You know the ones. The one thing ISO is known for is his love for music. While not as bombastic and in your face as Ray's is, he's always shown in media to be someone who has earphones in and is actively trying to find music to set the mood. If there's one thing that ISO does enjoy, it is his music. Also, can I just go over how cool his design is? Much like most of the agents in Valorant, he has a mix of modern streetwear and techwear. It's like a hybrid of some sorts. His hoodie being one of the biggest indicators of this, from the reinforced elbow pads to his center chest piece. Dude has good style is all I'm saying. Alongside his whole deal with hexagons and geometrical design, ISO is a no-nonsense, straight to the point type of character. Doesn't matter if it's personal or professional, ISO will always get it done, even if it kills him. And I'm just going to add on to this. His interactions with his elders are shown to be very respectful, especially when it comes to his interactions with Sage, and I'd even say Omen to a degree. Even though him and Omen have had a rather strained friendship, I'd say in modern context and with the lore as it is right now at the time of writing, Omen and ISO seem to be pretty chill. They're like dudes. They're like bros, you know? Like dude bros. That, and when you're making a comeback in-game, ISO will always try... And this just ties back into his love for music. He will actively try and find like a playlist for the comeback arc, you know? God, the guy is such a nerd. I love him.
哇靠! Was anyone watching that?
I'm going to be honest, ISO as a character I never really gave much of a thought to. You're wrong, and playing him when you're having a good day is really, really good. His gameplay plays a lot like what you'd expect from a superpowered, weapon-wielding savant with lethal proficiency. From pistols to LMGs, ISO is a virtuoso in marksmanship, and that shows in his gameplay. Or you're just skill-issuing and missing every single shot, and getting one-tapped even with the shield. It really depends on the player. As for me, never really got the hype behind him. I think he's fun to play, purely for his self-sufficiency and power when you do get snowballing during a round. It's just when you don't get a good round, or you're getting absolutely dumpstered at every corner and every point in a match, it can just be super demoralizing. A very feast or famine character in that regard. Similar to Reyna, but to a less extreme point. Because at least with ISO Wall, his vulnerability, you can help your team in some degree, while Reyna, it's purely you have flashbangs, and that's about it. And Reynas will always throw the flashbangs out, have it destroyed, and get one-tapped. Or the Reyna's just better. You can see why I compared the two. However, with some hands-on experience, I can see why ISO has become rather popular in recent months. In my books nowadays, I think he's pretty cool. He's quiet, reserved, respectful, and all-around professional when it comes to his work ethic. Safe to say, he has something that a lot of us could strive towards when it comes to work. I know a lot of us don't like work. Anyway, I'll stop rambling here and allow myself to get back to doing whatever it is I'm doing. I'll see y'all around, if it's in the Discord, the Twitch, or elsewhere. You guys stay cool, you hear? And stay safe. This is Azura, signing out until the next video. Alright, I might as well explain where I've been for the past month. I got addicted to Fortnite, and I was really struggling with trying to write out how I feel with ISO. I had to play a few more games with him to really understand how you would enjoy him as a character. But I'd say it's been a good experience to take a break and really think about some stuff. But hopefully I'm able to get back on the bandwagon and start making videos on a more consistent timescale again. And hopefully don't die for another month. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to playing Fortnite. I've got some stuff in Save the World, and I've just been really enjoying that recently. Don't expect me to make a video on it or anything, because it's Fortnite. I know some people really do not like Fortnite. Anyway, love you guys. I'm gonna go. Y'all have a nice day now. Bye.